Hey guys, are you sick of relying on YouTube and their faulty sub boxes? If you want to find me every single day, look for me at nerdyvideos.com. I make videos every single day. Hi everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to Anime Debate, the show where I compare anime against anime, fighting against myself, and then you guys in the comments down below. It's a lot of fun. That's why you're here. So let's get started. But before I do, let me let you guys know something really important to me, and that's called Anime Club. Anime Club at patreon.com/Chris Sanders. You can join right now, and you can debate anime with me in person. We will pick one anime, watch it, and then talk about it together at the end of the month. Now, let's move into this debate. This week's show is Fairy Tail versus the 7 Deadly Sins. Oh yeah. So what are these shows about? Let's start with the plot. 7 Deadly Sins. We've got a group of well-known, like, not even just killers, but like warriors who go and fight for the kingdom and sometimes for themselves, and they have to find one another along the way, and that's just pretty much how the show goes. You go on a journey with Meliodas and Elizabeth, and they are going to try to find the other 7 Deadly Sins so they can complete a mission against the Holy Knights, and it's a lot of fun. Now, we have Fairy Tail, which is a show about a guild. A guild is a group of traveling members who go on missions to try to become stronger and better wizards and fighters and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. They go on adventures. They go to like different like ranked class missions to try to execute a objective. Like say like a princess is missing. They go help find the princess and save her and come back to the kingdom and get paid for those things. And that's pretty much it. The show has a lot of side quests they go on, which I really dig. And again, just like the 7 Deadly Sins, it's a lot of fun. So which one has the better plot? In my opinion, the way that things get strung together and the way they stay more cohesive is if they have like secrets abound and things that kind of fall in your lap that you wouldn't know, or you don't really know when a hero is gonna like show up, but you know you have something to look forward to. So I think 7 Deadly Sins does a better job of executing that, like that very important pivotal part of storytelling. So for that reason, 7 Deadly Sins wins the plot. So both of these shows have a lot of characters, and they both, like, honestly, at times it gets muddled because you get like a villain will come on the show or a side character that comes on the show, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Why are there so many people, and who am I supposed to care about? And I think the problem that Fairy Tail runs into is that you introduce new characters, and then all of a sudden they feel like main characters, and you don't really feel invested in them. Like, you still want to get back to your people, like your Lucy's. You want to get back to, you know, your characters that you like fell in love with. So when you first started watching the show, you thought Lucy was the main character, but then little by little she gets overshadowed by everyone else, especially the beautiful and delicious and amazing Urza's. Like, oh my God, what up, girl? What are you doing tonight? Let's hang out. But she would probably hit me in the face for saying that. But anyway, the show just doesn't do a great job of balancing all those different personalities, and at times it feels like it's a critique on its own genre. Meanwhile, the 7 Deadly Sins does a good job of balancing the same exact thing. Like, they'll have a lot of characters, and then they'll bring in new people, and then you'll find yourself for some weird reason really caring about them. But let's get to the juice of it though. Who are the best main characters in the show? Now, I'm gonna say right away, and I know this sounds really blasphemous probably to other anime fans, but I feel like 7 Deadly Sins just have stronger character arcs. Like, I feel like I know who they are. I feel like they have their own individual personality traits. You know, you have Gowther, maybe he's androgynous and very like dry and just doesn't really seem to like get excited about much, but he's still a very strong, likable character if you are that type of person. You find someone you can relate to in Gowther if you are antisocial, if you are a little bit awkward. You know, you have Meliodas, who's like lovable but also perverted. You have Elizabeth, who's just kind of there, to be honest, most of the time, until she's not. You have Bond, who is literally like one of the weirdest characters I can say I've seen on anime without being a weirdo, if that makes any sense. He is just a strange character, but I love him. You have King, who is my favorite on this show. King is just everything you want. He's pure. He is also complex. He is also, you know, like strong. He is just so awesome. I'm not skipping over anybody. I'm just kind of like gonna, you know, reach into the hand of a Fairy Tail now and pull up people that I like there. Again, you have Lucy. I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to dig too deep into this now. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. The truth is that I think that Fairy Tail has a lot of the same character repeating again and again because of the way they lay comedy out in the show. Now, the show is genuinely one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, but they don't allow the characters to just be themselves because the characters all break the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall. Like, so without really digging into each individual character of the Fairy Tail Guild, I mean, other than really Urza, who even she doesn't stay consistent, I'm just gonna say that Fairy Tail doesn't handle character as well as Seven Deadly Sins. And I know a lot of people are Fairy Tail fans out there. I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing. It's just that you really get to know and feel like you can connect with the characters on Seven Deadly Sins better than you can the characters in Fairy Tail. Sorry, like it's like Gray. Gray is your atypical, like angry, angsty dude, you know, and that's pretty much what his thing is. And that is really like super atypical. Like I just don't see a lot of depth there. You know, he doesn't really like get deeper into who he is. Like when you find the relationships that they like the Seven Deadly Sins had, you know, throughout the history, which they do a good thing too with their storytelling, which is they do a lot of flashbacks, like kind of like Lost, where you get to see who they were, you know, where they came from, you know, what their lives were like, and you actually get a deeper telling of that. Fairy Tail does the same thing, but not as often and not as effectively. So I'm just gonna throw it out there that it's possible that an anime can handle things better. Just gonna say that. Let's get into the next part of this, and that'll be music. Now, both of these shows kind of, and again, I might be wrong here, but both of these shows kind of play like a Celtic kind of thing. You get a lot of, like, it sounds like bagpipes and like upbeat music, and it plays in whenever they start the fights. And I'm gonna say right away that I believe that Fairy Tail has stronger music at play. Those opening things though, them OPs, amazing. I love them. Seven Deadly Sins, again, it's kind of just there, folding into the background, but doesn't really ever feel like a main part of the show. And again, you just can't get more pumped than when you start to show off like this. You just can't. You can't really beat that. So that's just gonna give it right away to that young Fairy Tail. So animation. Fairy Tail has some really good animation. So does Seven Deadly Sins. And straight up, they both move at fluid rates. They both have beautiful line drawings. And I just have to say though, that I believe that Fairy Tail takes more chances. Fairy Tail has more varied designs. Seven Deadly Sins reminds me of old school Dragon Ball from the 80s, which is good. You know, like even look at like Meliodas' eyes. Like they're really like round and his like eyebrows are arched up and he looks really like positive, like Goku did when he was a kid. Because it reminds you that like when a character can be like really like badass and not be angry all the time. I mean, it's like Vegeta, it looks angry all the freaking time. It's like, oh my God, dude, just chill out. You're gonna bust a blood vessel. Goku looks that way too. Everyone does now. But back in the day, they were beautifully drawn in a very simple and happy way. Then they did awesome things. But that does not mean that the animation is better. It just means the designs are a little bit different. So moving over to Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail just does the thing that you see in a lot of their anime, except they carried another like step by having characters that look like they fit in different shows interact with one another. And I think that in itself is beautiful because it shows the world is different and varied and you don't have to all do and look the same way. So it's amazing, and I'm just gonna give it to it right away to Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail has better animation. When I watch Fairy Tail, I literally laugh out loud. Like the jokes they put in this show are A-class. Like even when I don't want to laugh at it, I laugh at it. The thing is, it is sometimes distracting because they will be having a very serious, like heartfelt, deep, or like super tense moment, and then they'll break it to do this super silly thing. And it's like, okay, you know what? I actually like what you did there because it actually made me laugh. But at the same time, I want it to be in the feels. I want to sit there and enjoy it. Seven Deadly Sins stays consistently on the arc it is on. When they are being serious, they stay serious. But it's kind of like an old school like 80s cartoon where like they'll go through this whole serious ordeal and at the very end and make a cheesy joke. That's kind of similar to how they handle things over on the side of Fairy Tail, or rather Seven Deadly Sins. Fairy Tail just kind of breaks constantly and runs with the comedy. And again, I like it, but it's just distracting, dude. But for the fact that, let's just compare the shows like comedian-wise or comic-wise, rather. But let's just be fair and compare the shows based on comedy because they both really put those elements in there constantly. And frankly, I already said it, you already know, Fairy Tail is the funnier show. You just can't get away from that. No matter how you handle it, it just is. Now let's get into one of my favorite parts of the anime debate, and that's the fights. Ooh yeah! Now both of these shows have very similar ways of battling where like most shonen, they yell out their moves before they do them, like Donan Ray! Ice cream sandwich breakup! Bah! and they all yelled at it. I'm always like, hey guys, why don't you stop yelling what you're gonna do and just do it? That way, the guy you're battling will absolutely not know that you're going to attack them. That way, you can have the element of surprise. But hey, that's up to you. I don't live in the shonen world. Do what you want. Now, both these shows have great battles, but I will say that Fairy Tail's battles just felt way more epic in scale. I felt like there was actually something that could go down at every turn. Because the Seven Deadly Sins was based on a group of people trying to find each other, I just don't ever feel like anyone's gonna really ever die. And another thing about Seven Deadly Sins that really bothers me is that people survive things they shouldn't survive based on plot armor and convenience. There's a point where a character literally gets killed by a thing that kills everyone else, and they just somehow survive. And the only reason why they survive, everyone goes, oh, I guess, the power of love. What? F you, power of love. F you. Like, seriously. Like, that is not okay. You can't do that. Like, you can't just have inconsistencies in the universe. If someone gets shot by a laser beam and it kills everyone else that gets hit by a laser beam, one character should not be able to make it just because of plot armor. Meaning, they make it because they need to stay on the show because the show needs to continue to go on. That lowers the stakes immensely and makes it harder to stay invested in the characters, even if you love them. So again, Fairy Tail wins this portion of the anime debate simply for the fact that they give you stakes that matter. So Seven Deadly Sins versus Ye Old Fairy Tail. Who does it better? Both of these shows do a good job of tying together beautiful aesthetics, beautiful music, beautiful action with a silly backdrop. They do a good job of balancing comedy and other elements of storytelling, and I must say I commend them both for it. As I watch both of these shows, the one thing I never was bored. Both of these shows keep you involved, keep you like with your jaw on drop or your mind on laugh. Both of these shows make me happy in a way that other anime have not been able to do in quite some time. But only one can be the best. Only one can reign supreme. And in my honest opinion, based on being entertained, based on consistency, and honestly just based on an overall feel of knowing where the show is going and feeling like I'm following a story that actually has some kind of, just some kind of depth to it, I'm going to give it 100%. I'm going to give it 110%. To the Seven Deadly Sins. Now, whoa, I know people were there like, what are you talking about? I'll be honest, guys, I was just more into the Seven Deadly Sins. I felt like because they didn't run their episodes way too long. I know there's more seasons of Fairy Tail right now, but even in that first season, there was way too many episodes, and the filler hurt me like a knife to the heart because it just dragged out things that didn't need to be dragged out. The Seven Deadly Sins got to the point and did it right. The Seven Deadly Sins, again, the characters, you're more involved in, they're more in depth. While there is little weight to the fights, the journey to get there is still worth it in my opinion. Don't forget to let me know what you want us to be comparing next on the next episode of Anime Debate, and also check out this handy playlist to see older episodes. Remember, you can always find me at nerdyvideos.com every single day.